Surprise! We've got another one of these retro video game consoles that you could buy straight off of Amazon, shipped by Amazon, mind you, and get it in your hands, play thousands upon thousands of retro games. I think this is the one that looks like a NES. So we're gonna check this out again. These companies, they hit me up and they're like, hey, we made a new and improved version. And you know, sometimes, a lot of times, seems like that's just shenanigans, but okay, we got a 256 gigabyte micro SD. What the heck brand is that? Extreme Speed. It's gonna be fast. That's what I'm talking about. Looks like a SanDisk, but obviously it's not. But there we go. This is the Cube X3. We got 32 gigabytes of space built in and then 4 gigs of RAM. S905X3. Android 9.0. Oh, snap. We got 4, count them, 4 USB ports up in the front. Then the back we have AV. You got AV? That's cool. Local area network, HDMI, another USB, and then a power button. That's nice. I like when they have a power button because half the time they don't. You can't shut these things off. It's ridiculous. So I'm sure this has emulation on it. And then it also has that Android 9.0. Please give us a 5-star review. And they'll give you another 21,000 games that you get to download for free. What a crock of ass here. they're buying 5-star reviews. There's no reviews on this listing yet, so it is a newer listing. But that, come on now. After receiving the goods, you contact customer service to obtain the download method. And I'm sure those 21,000 3D games probably won't run on this. And we do have HDMI. I'm gonna need this time. We're just gonna play it on this little screen here and just check it out, see what to do. For the Android side of things, you got this little cheap remote. Not gonna worry about that. We got our power supply. And then, as usual, our PS2 style controllers. Sometimes these are okay. This one actually feels a little better than the last one I used, but you don't know until you actually try to use it. But yeah, these are serviceable usually, but you can, you know, pretty much use whatever you want. I don't know. Yeah, each one has a dongle, so that's good. Sometimes when you have the single dongle for 2 controllers, it can be a little wonky. So we're gonna do this one that requires, what is it? 2 AAAs. Let's go ahead and get this thing plugged in. Check it out, test out some games. Okay, so our little Super Console Cube X3 little NES looking thing from China is booted up and ready to go. And I noticed that there's a fan built in here. I can hear it. I put it right up to my ear and it's keeping the machine cool. So that's kind of nice. But the other thing I immediately noticed was the game count. 107,833 games. That is a lot of retro games. But it's also the same exact count from the previous machine that I reviewed from these guys. So I'm starting to wonder, because they keep saying, hey, we've improved this. We've, you know, fixed these things. It's a new version for this year, this month, this week, whatever. And sometimes, I mean, it seems like it turns out to be the opposite. So I guess we'll find out here today. Now, I'm not going to focus too much on the 8 and 16-bit stuff. All those games are going to run great on this chipset. This is running emulation 4.5. So yeah, we're not gonna have too many issues with stuff like that. You're gonna be able to play your Simpsons arcade game. Looks like they have a lot of the arcade stuff, you know, categorized. There's thousands of arcade games here. Atari stuff we're gonna have no issues with. I wanna focus on the more heavy hitters, the stuff that is either more, what? I guess we learned something new every day. I had no idea that Final Fantasy VII was on the WonderSwan color. But what was I saying here? I want to focus on the systems that either typically have issues because they don't know what they're doing, or there's errors, or they're just a little more difficult to run. So let's find some stuff to check out. We may check out a couple retro games as well, but I always find this weird here. It's kind of useful though. They have these little videos. Like how to change the emulator for all games in one emulator. How to change the emulator for all games in one emulator. Why do I find that funny? It sounds like a robot voice. Like, is that a real person? Is that like a robot reading text? But actually, these little videos are kind of useful. But okay, let's find something to play. and double check a few things I think are usually wonky. Okay, PC Engine, CD, we only have 2 games. Super Graphics, should be 5. 319 games. So immediately, some of my assumptions are true. It's going to be a lot of duplicates here. This should only have 5 games in it, but they put PC Engine games in here as well. So they're going to be doubled up. There's going to be a lot of that here. A lot. Famicom. How many games? 2,715 games. What's the official count on that system? I don't know, but that's a lot of games. NES. 1,591. So they're going to double up. Multi-region Famicom games. There's going to be like a lot of dupes here, like pumping up that 107,833 games. Probably like half of them are duplicates. Like you're going to get the same game multiple times. They did separate ROM hacks, but if this is like the previous one I checked out, they have ROM hacks in that list as well. So a little sloppy here, a little sloppy here. Same thing I'm sure with Super Nintendo. 3,700 games. That is straight up ridiculous. It's not clean. It's not clean, but let's avoid that stuff. N64, 256 games. So not the full library. It's kind of weird. Like they didn't boost these ones up, maybe because they're slightly bigger games. But let's go ahead and test something out like 1080. Like Nintendo 64 is always hit and miss with these systems, but I always think like, man, just put the games that you know run well on the system and just avoid everything else. You don't have to put the complete library if it's a system that just does not run well. But sometimes with some of these systems, you can manipulate things, go in the RetroArch and whatnot. But let's check this out. Okay, so a little glitch action in the background. Doesn't necessarily mean the game's not gonna run though. I noticed this kind of thing in a lot of Nintendo 64 games. You might have a few small glitches, but performance-wise can still be okay. So let's find out. Okay, we're not going to spend a ton of time playing these games individually. I just want to get a good idea if they actually work. And this is a good sign. It's a good sign. I mean, I'm kind of sucking here. But hey, 1080 seems like it may be a game you can enjoy on a device like this. Nintendo DS. Usually we have no issues with Nintendo DS on these systems, but I just wanted to jump into a game that we could immediately start playing and just double check performance. And yeah, DS is like, man, fantastic. You shouldn't have really any issue. I don't know what oh my God, I don't know what the button layout exactly is here. 3DO. This one's usually a nightmare. Let's find the notorious game. The Need for Speed. Always, they get, like, what is wrong with these people? If this is not Need for Speed, and it never runs well when it is actually on here, but it just shows me time and time again that they don't know what they're doing if it's not Need for Speed. We got the bezels for Need for Speed, but is it Need for Speed? If you guys have been following along in all these videos, you know what I'm talking about. Oh my God. Once again, this this is like a mahjong dating game. And I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired of it. Of every time having to check this out. And it's this weird anime dating mahjong game with little anime cutscenes. Not Need for Speed. You sons of bitches. Yeah, man, like, what is up with this sloppiness, man? Thomas Wave. We've got 13 games. I'm going to check out something different this time. Most of these should run okay. Let's do the Rumblefish. Rumblefish 1 and 2 is on here. They got that coming out for the Switch, physical, in a few months. This game's got a really cool aesthetic, but sometimes it can be a little choppy on these machines, I've noticed. I don't know what I'm doing, but this actually seems to be running okay. Sega Saturn, once again. How many games? 24 games. Let's see if they have anything crazy. Cyber Speedway. Okay. Yeah, we'll check that out. Most of the 2D stuff should be fine, even some of the 3D stuff, but they typically don't put too much Saturn on here because it is one that struggles. All right, this is running smooth, almost 60 FPS. I don't know. Oh, wow. Man, these graphics are... there's like... It seems like it's running fine, but man... I'm just like looking at the sign on how to turn, and it's like, where the hell do I go? Very weird control. And the weird water confused me, man. I've never played this before. Dreamcast with 23 games. Not going to play Crazy Taxi because the music. But okay, like we got Gunbird, Garuga, Marvel vs. Capcom, Power Stone 1 and 2. All right, this is looking good. So we shouldn't have too much of an issue with Dreamcast. This system should be able to handle it. Check out Naomi. There's going to be a lot of crossover here with Dreamcast, but I know one that's important to a lot of people is Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which is on both systems here. But let's see if this runs smoothly without any glitches. A lot of times you could tell if the game's going to have issues immediately when you get on the first stage, and there'd be like lines and glitches in the background and the characters, but this is perfectly fine, it looks like. So yeah, hey, I mean... Play Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on Dreamcast or the arcade version on Naomi through a little box like this. Okay, let's move on and see what else we got here. And hey, if you've made it this far in the video, I appreciate you. I really do. Good fortune is coming your way. This is like cracking a fortune cookie, making it this far and getting a good fortune, and it actually comes true. I mean, we can all dream, right? Ah, we got PlayStation and PSP. Last time I had an issue, PlayStation games running just fine because PS1 games will run on a potato, a lemon attached to a 9-volt battery, your mom's Vibe, whatever. It doesn't matter. PS1 is easy to emulate on some of the weakest hardware. But I noticed with these guys, sometimes they get it cool. Sometimes they... mess up and games don't have the music. So let's find something real quick. Yeah, I ain't hearing no damn music here. Okay, just had to double confirm. PS1 games, no music. Just to save space so they could inflate the damn ROM count. Bastards. PSP, we've got a buttload of PSP minis. Most of this stuff's gonna run fine. But actual full-on PSP releases usually is a little hit and miss here. But I noticed the last time some games ran decently well. So let's find something different to try out this time. Okay, well, so far it seems like PSP, it's gonna be like the last console that I reviewed from these guys where the games they include do run decently well. Now this is Final Fantasy III. You know, I can't sit here and play this for hours on end to see if I can notice any weird little issues, but so far just the beginning and getting into it, it seems to run fine at a solid 30 FPS or so. So there you go. That about covers it for now. Like I said, there's over 100,000 games here. I cannot play every single game. But as you see, you know, Super Nintendo, stuff like that's going to be just fine. Just all those other systems that I'm usually curious with. But in the end, I mean, it's up to you. Do you want to buy a ROM dump off of Amazon just for the sole purpose of getting access to all this stuff without having to worry about putting it together yourself? Or would you rather, you know, spend a lot less and do it yourself, but, you know, take the time to do so? It's all up to you. I just like covering all this different stuff. These guys send these things to me, and I just want people to be aware of what you're actually getting yourself into. These things are messy. They're a ROM dump. Not everything's going to work. They're going to be like, hey, we got 100,000 games, but really there's probably 40 to 50,000 because there's so many duplicates. And then there's going to be multiple regions for every game, multiple variants of every version of every game. Like arcade games, there could be little minor changes, not just regions, but you're going to have like tons and tons of duplicates. It's a little bit of a messy build. Not the worst I've ever seen. But yeah, that's where it's at. But I do appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for hanging. Bye.